That's no way to treat locals. In yet another instance of Chinese tourists behaving badly, a couple of photo-obsessed aunties were caught on camera mercilessly manhandling a swan in Switzerland. The footage was shot near Swan Square in Lucerne and begins with some Chinese tourists crowding around a large swan. Despite a sign saying not to feed them, one lady uses a paper napkin to bait a bird, presumably for a photo op. When the swan snatches the paper, another moron grabs the animal by the neck and tries to take the napkin back. Someone in the group can be heard complaining about not getting the shot, prompting Chinese news reports to speculate that the attack stemmed from a missed photo op. Video of the tourist was shared on Snapchat before being picked up by a Swiss news outlet. Needless to say, most people were disgusted by the women's behavior. Some people just shouldn't travel.
Parenting fail. An ordinary day at a museum in the UK went horribly wrong when a family's failed photo op damaged an 800-year-old coffin. According to the BBC, on August 4th, a family was visiting Pretty-Well Priory Museum in Southend-on-Sea. Hoping to snap a morbid photo, the parents reportedly reached over an exhibit barrier to put their child inside an 800-year-old ancient sandstone coffin. You know this isn't gonna end well. Here's some quick facts about the stone coffin. It was found on the grounds of the monk's residence in 1921 and has been displayed at the Pretty-Well Priory Museum ever since. It used to contain a skeleton that the museum says could have belonged to a senior monk, so arguably it's a valuable artifact. Well, in the process of picture taken, the offending family managed to knock a chunk off of the sarcophagus. Fantastic. They didn't say a word and fled the scene, but were caught on the museum's surveillance cameras. In response to the photo op incident, Pretty-Well Priory Museum's conservator Claire Reed said the staff was shocked and upset, but added that the damage was repairable. The museum said they didn't expect people to actually get into the artifacts, and they plan to completely enclose the stone coffin in the future.
Chinese tourists pig out at Thailand buffet. A group of Chinese tourists were caught on camera, well, behaving badly. The tourists were filmed amid a feeding frenzy at a hotel buffet in Thailand. Seafood seems to be their food of choice, as one by one they frantically climb over one another to fill multiple plates at a time. Most were employing the double plates technique, using one plate to scoop food onto another, while others, well, just use their hands. The tourists were seen taking 3 or 4 plates at a time. Tables were filled with seafood. Afterwards, photos were taken of the leftover uneaten food, prompting netizens to criticize the behavior of the greedy tourists. Most people were upset, calling the behavior disgusting, while others simply said, "That is Chinese."
Chinese tourists busted for stealing a toilet seat. A red-faced Chinese couple apologized this week for stealing an electronic toilet seat from a hotel in Japan. The travelers, identified as Mr. Lee and Miss Chen, found the multi-function toilet seat underneath their bed at a hotel in Nagoya on Monday. In an attempt to keep a lid on the bad press, the sticky-fingered tourists claimed to think the seat was left behind by previous guests. Maybe no one ever told them that just because something isn't nailed down doesn't mean you can just help yourself. Demand for electronic toilet seats is off the chain in China, and the gadgets have become one of the most popular purchases for Chinese visitors to Japan. The seats can be heated, have a disinfect button, and provide an ass hose and more powerful than a Japanese shogun. So it's not hard to see why Mr. Lee and Miss Chen thought they had hit the jackpotty. The couple from eastern China apologized and sent the toilet seat back when the hotel discovered it was missing and kicked up a stink. But we think the only thing this pair of thieves were sorry about is getting flushed out. In fact, we go as far as to say that we think they're full of shit.
Fabulous. Just what the Antarctic needs. Chinese tourists flying to the South Pole for a vacay. China claims it has flown its first commercial flight to Antarctica carrying 22 tourists. The trip consisted of a 14-hour flight from Hong Kong to South Africa, refueling in Cape Town, and then another 5.5 hours to Antarctica. After reaching Antarctica, it was another 5 to 6 hours to the South Pole, where the plane landed on a 1.5-mile-long runway carved into the ice. The number of Chinese tourists in Antarctica has reportedly grown from 100 in 2008 to 3,944 in 2016. We feel sorry for the penguins. Americans get arrested in Thailand for cheeky Instagram posts. 2 idiots were busted by Thai Popo after taking photos of their behinds in front of a sacred Buddhist temple in Bangkok. Joseph and Travis De Silva posted full moon snaps at the Wat Arun temple to their Instagram account, Traveling Butts. For some reason, the account has since been deleted. These 2 buttheads had the creative minds to take pictures of their rear ends at tourist spots around the world, and they had more than 14,000 people dumb enough to follow them. Unfortunately, their trip has been tainted after being arrested Tuesday night at a Bangkok airport, and they now face public indecency charges. Beavis and Butthead caused quite the uproar after their photos were shared widely online, which led to a police investigation. The couple thought they could slip through the crack, but ended up landing right in it instead. The 2 each had to pay a $150 fine and have been handed over to immigration. Officials are now deciding if moons over my hammies will be busted under Thailand's Computer Crimes Act, which carries a punishment of up to 5 years behind bars. Polar bears doing what polar bears do. What else is a man to do when he enters a wild animal's domain and it acts like a wild animal? Shoot it, of course. NBC News reports a cruise was at the Arctic Circle to take some tourists sightseeing. What typically occurs then is that the cruise ship guard disembarks the ship to check if there are any dangers in the area. This particular cruise ship guard, however, failed to notice one polar bear in the vicinity, and was surprised when the bear followed its instincts and behaved as bears do, injuring the man's head in the process. The second cruise guard who was accompanying the first then opened fire, all in the name of self-defense. Thankfully, the first guard wasn't too badly injured and everyone else remained safe, but the polar bear is dead, merely because it behaved as it normally does in its natural habitat. Hapag-Lloyd Cruises issued a statement apologizing for the incident and said the intervention was needed to protect the life of the attacked person. Most people on social media, though, were outraged, with comedian Ricky Gervais and longtime animal activists chiming in, blaming humans for being morons for trespassing into areas where the polar bears reside.